Hi, I'm Ruth Royal, and I'm delighted to be here today with for Youth Pledge for Employers, talking to Ryan Evans from Together Accounting about his apprenticeship journey. So, Ryan, lovely to have you with us.
Love
Thanks so
to be
much
here.
for coming along. Um, Tell us a bit, first of all, about you. Sort of your bit about your background.
Yeah, so I'm 22, so I started my apprenticeship journey back when I was 17 or 18, I believe it
Wow,
was.
right.
So I'd just finished high school, and I initially wanted to go into apprenticeship straight away,
Okay.
but at the time I didn't really have like a car or anything, no means of transport to actually get to a job. So I stuck it out with a year at college, and then once I finally got my driver's license, I was straight away looking for apprenticeships, and it's been uphill since there. So
Brilliant. Oh, that is great. So you started off and you went and did level 3 apprenticeship,
yep,
and that was in accounting.
yep,
And you've just finished a level 4 apprenticeship.
yep.
Would you tell us a bit, first of all, about what motivated you? What made you want to do an apprenticeship?
Yeah, so I think for me at the time, I was, learning all of this stuff, and I wasn't really thinking it would be too practical
Yeah,
in like my everyday life. So my thinking was that if I get an apprenticeship, I can go out there and learn what I'm actually going to do in the future there and then, rather than learn all these other subjects I'm never really going to use and then end up with a load of student loan debt after. So I thought it
fair
better
enough.
to go that way. And I also, my brother is 2 years older than me, and he started with an apprenticeship as well. And I saw how well he was doing. So I thought, why not give it a shot?
Fantastic. So you had a role model as well there.
Exactly.
I think lots of people do feel like you in terms of wanting to go out and sort of get stuck into a
Yeah,
career. So,
definitely.
what made you sort of pick accountancy?
Well, I'd always been like relatively good at maths, so I thought, numbers, accounting sort of tie it together nicely. I did apply for some other apprenticeships, but they were more for they were looking more for like university students and stuff, like coming off of that. So it didn't really work out. And then I saw there was a really good apprentice accountant job for me, so I went and applied and got it. So
Fantastic. So you started on your level 3. Tell us
yeah.
a bit about the sort of learning that you did for that, if you can cast your mind back.
So there was a bit of everything really. So with accounting, there's industry and practice. So it was both together, based in the same level. I'm trying to think of it's so far along now. It was basically just like the main basics of bookkeeping, looking at where how to work out variances. So say they'd spent a bit more on labour, you'd work out whether it's the actual cost of the labour or if it's actually the time taken that was creating that
So
overspend.
really, really business focused.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So you did your AAT qualification as part of your
Okay.
apprenticeship,
Yep.
and then presumably, while doing level 3 and level 4, you've been through 2 different endpoint assessments.
Yes, yes.
So what is that process like?
um, so it was quite challenging really. So it was quite different for both level 3 and for level 4. So when I did my level 3, it was more like a whole portfolio, a lot of
Right.
writing, lots of screenshots here and there of what I was doing actually in my role and how I can then transfer that into what I've learned as well and how they tie together. So it was a lot of that in level 3, and then level 4 was sort of a bit more, proper specific things and a bit more higher up. And at that point, I was working here, so it was pretty easy to actually get the evidence that I'd used all of my studies in my day-to-day role.
And do you have to did you have to do an interview or something with somebody as part of your
Yes, I
employment?
did. Yeah, so after the portfolio, you have to then have an interview with someone from AAT and basically talk about your day-to-day job and what you do that relates to like your studies and how you help out the business and stuff like that, basically.
So because that picks up then, I guess, on your your AAT is showing your knowledge element, and
Yeah,
then the interview and everything is picking up on you talking about your skills and also those behaviours that you have to develop as part of the apprenticeship.
exactly, yes.
What was that like as well? Because you had to evidence your 20% off the job time, didn't you?
Yeah.
What sort of things did you do for that?
So because I was at two different jobs for my level 3 and my level 4, a lot of it was like more mentoring and shadowing when I first started at the two places, because there was a lot for me to learn because I started off in industry on my level 3. So when I came here for my level 4, it was completely all new stuff for me. So it was
Wow.
a lot of shadowing went into the training, basically.
And did you also go to college as part of your
I did,
apprenticeship?
yes,
So
yes.
how did that work?
So it was one day a week I would be let out free, and I'd go to college so in the mornings there'd be a lesson on one topic of the AAT course, and then in the afternoon it'd be a different topic. So then, yeah, I did that for about a year, basically, until I did my final synoptic exam.
And how was that? Because obviously you talked about everything that you had to do, like taking on board a new job,
Yeah,
and you had to go to college and study.
yeah.
How was that?
It was actually quite helpful, really, because when I was obviously I'm learning this new job, and then I was also learning new stuff at college, so I could sort of piece the two together. So rather than coming in fresh with no actual knowledge of how financial statements work and stuff like that, I was learning that at college at the same time as I was learning at work, so it sort of pieced together perfectly, really.
Oh, that's great. So those sort of two bits of learning complemented each other.
Exactly.
And what about you? Was that like as a person, was that quite hard to work and study? Did you have to do a lot of
It wasn't too bad, to be honest. My work were very what's the word? They helped a lot with, so they gave me study leave and stuff like that where I was where needed. So I had the time to actually, revise any topics I needed a bit more knowledge on, and yeah, they were very accommodating.
Oh, that's brilliant. And what is your actual job title now? What are you now qualified as?
My job title is a client manager. So I basically deal with my group set of clients on the day-to-day basis, do all their VAT returns, tax returns, all of that basically, and I'm their go-to man if they ever have any problems, basically.
Oh, that is brilliant, Ryan. So for you, talk us through, I mean, either like from when you were a level 4 apprentice or now, like what does like a typical day in the life of Ryan Evans look like for somebody trying to think of themselves, whether or not doing an apprenticeship would suit them? Perhaps let's think about the level 4. Tell us what your typical day would be while you were an apprentice.
So when I was working here, so what I'd have is I'd say the best example is when I first started. So I would come to work, I would have my manager sit with me, say, this is how we do it, like show me if I had any questions. They would help me straight away. And then, yeah, they basically let me get on with it, checked what I did, and yeah, that was basically it, really.
And what sort of things were they sort of letting you get on with? Were you updating Excel spreadsheets? Were you working on a computer, answering emails? Were you speaking to people?
Yes, so when I first started, it was basically working my way around the accounting software we have here. So there's quite a bit of software in our day-to-day job. So like uploading people's receipts onto that, making sure that it's the right category, right VAT rate, and so on and so forth. When I first started as well, I noticed how my Excel skills actually helped the company quite a bit, because I mentioned about doing a VLOOKUP and everyone looked at me blankly, were unaware of what even a VLOOKUP was. So ever since then, I think everyone's always using Excel now to try and speed up the process a bit. So clearly I've helped them the same way they've helped me. So.
Oh, that is really fantastic. And that's really interesting. Sort of you've really reflected on some of the sort of hard skills, like from talking about the kind of things that have helped in your role. So obviously kind of being able to use Excel, being able to adapt to using different software packages, having an enjoyment of numbers, because that's
Yes,
what you're going to
definitely.
be doing. In terms of those hard skills, what do you think, what sort of soft skills or behaviour traits, what do you think has been useful to you as an apprentice accountant?
I think just like getting on like in a working environment, it's a completely whole different feeling really. Just getting on with everyone, because obviously you've got so people of different ages in the office, and asking about someone's kids, like when I'm like at the time I'd have been like 19, like it's just completely different to being at college or school where you're around this people of the same age all the time. I think you get, yeah.
So just being able to kind of almost sort of adapt to working with different people. Do you
Exactly.
think you've had to be sort of quite resilient as well in terms of like organising yourself? And
Oh yes, definitely. Like the first time I started, my drawers were a mess. I kept on getting told off for like, you can't have this pile of rubbish on your desk. Basically, like I had to quickly learn like how to plan my day out, organise what I was going to do that week, and because what I found was, because I wasn't organising myself properly, I was getting so behind. So it's like a massive learning curve when I first started to try and organise myself properly, basically.
no, that's really interesting to hear that sort of journey and like how you've changed and kind of adapted.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the best thing about doing an apprenticeship for you?
I think the knowledge that by the time I'm 25, I'm going to be a fully qualified accountant. I think that for me makes me feel really good in myself,
Yeah,
just to see, how far I've come already, and that in only a few years' time, I'm going to be, qualified and done with everything, and, be up there with the big dogs, basically.
and presumably increasing your earnings potential
Exactly,
considerably.
exactly.
I've got no idea what a qualified accountant earns, but I'm guessing it's
A
pretty
lot.
from your face there, Ryan. What advice would you give to people who are thinking about doing an apprenticeship?
I would say to actually, research the job they actually want to do. Because when I was first started, I was sort of here, there, and everywhere of what I had to do. Didn't really know what it was. I think that's a key thing as well. Make sure you actually use your time to study properly. When I
Yeah,
first
sound
started
advice.
in my level 3, I wasn't putting the effort in properly, and it was getting ahead of me, basically. So it's definitely worth doing that. Keep on up to date with your training log. That also.
For that off the job training record.
Yes, exactly. That was a struggle.
But it sounds like you did very well getting there in the end. If there was, that would be your advice to other people. If you could go back and give 16, 17-year-old Ryan a piece of advice, what would it be?
To sort yourself out sooner, organise your work a lot better than what you're doing, because that was a mess. Now I look back on it.
Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. And I'm so pleased. It sounds like the company that you're working for, that you're having lots of good opportunities there
Yeah,
too.
yeah, they really are great.
Oh, that is lovely. Ryan, well, thank you so much for sharing with us. And like, say, frankly and honestly about your apprenticeship journey and kind of, the challenges and the successes that you've experienced along the way. And we wish you absolutely all the best and look forward to maybe talking to you again when you're a qualified accountant.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Cheers.